Kidron Valley is a strait or ravine between Mount Olive and the Old Jerusalem city. It is situated in the northeast direction of the city. Kidron in Hebrew means obscure or making sad. This was a shadowy, dark valley. A stream flowed through this valley which was also called Kidron. Jews, Muslims, and Christians believe that the Last Judgment will be held in this valley. So, they call it the Valley of Decision. The Kidron Valley starts from the northeast part of Old Jerusalem. From there it spreads in between the Temple Mount where the Jewish temple is situated, and Mount Olive. Thus, it divides the eastern wall of the temple and Mount Olive. It starts from the northeast part of Jerusalem city, goes towards the southeast direction, through the west bank and ends near the Dead Sea. The valley is situated 450 meters below sea level. Water from the river Gin flowed through the Kidron stream. The first mention of the name Kidron in the Bible is found in 2 Samuel 15 verse 23. There we read that King David and his followers, in fear of David's son Absalom, escaped into the wilderness, crossing the brook Kidron. It might not have been a wide brook at that time. There was water in it only during the winter and rainy season. The valley protected the city of David from their enemies. A more ancient mention about the valley is found in Genesis 14 verse 17. The chapter narrates the story of the 4 kings who attacked the city of Sodom. They defeated the Sodom king, captured, and took away Lot, his family and everything he had, along with some other people. When Abraham heard about the misfortune that happened to Lot, he went after the 4 kings, attacked them, and brought back Lot, his family and all his possessions. He delivered other captives also. On the way back from the war, the king of Sodom greeted Abraham in the valley called King's Valley. It was also called the Valley of Shave. Melchizedek, king of Salem, the priest of God Most High, also met Abraham in this valley. Scholars consider this valley as the Kidron Valley. One of King Solomon's wives was the daughter of the Egyptian king Pharaoh. In 1924, archaeologists unearthed her cemetery in Kidron Valley by removing stones and dust over it. According to 1 Kings 9 verse 16, the Egyptian king Pharaoh conquered the Canaanite city Gezer and gave it as a dowry to his daughter, who was King Solomon's wife. This may be the reason for constructing a special sepulchre for her. Behind the Absalom's monument is the cemetery of Jehoshaphat, the 4th king of Judea. The sepulchre of the prophet Zechariah is on another side. Jewish people respected the prophet Zechariah very much, so they wished to be buried beside his sepulchre. Every year, on 9th of the month of Av, Jews used to visit the sepulchre of Zechariah and lament for the destruction of the Jerusalem temple. This continued for several years. Another reference to the stream of Kidron is found in 1 Kings, chapter 15. The Jewish king Asa was a God-fearing person. He destroyed all Gentile idols that were in Judea. His grandmother Maachah was removed from being the queen mother, because she made an obscene image of the Gentile goddess Asherah. Asa cut down the idol and burned it by the brook Kidron. Among the Jews, Kidron Valley is a symbol and warning for all those who disobey their parents. The valley got such a connotation in connection with the death of Absalom, the third son of King David. Absalom rebelled against his father and plotted to kill him and his faithful followers. But Absalom was defeated in the following battle. According to 2 Samuel 18 verses 17 and 18, the dead body of Absalom was thrown into a large pit in the woods and laid a very large heap of stones over him. This pit was in Kidron Valley. Jews believe that the name, King's Valley, mentioned in the Bible is the Kidron Valley. King's Valley is the above part of the Kidron Valley. The cemetery of Absalom is in the Kidron Valley. Josephus, the Jewish historian, has written about the marble pillar known as the Absalom's Monument, found in the valley. But most probably, the pillar found today might have been built later. Jewish parents used to take their undisciplined children to this place, and showed the grave of Absalom covered with stones. They used to remind the children that this would be the end of all who do not obey their parents. Thus, it served as a symbol and warning to Jewish children. During the reign of King Josiah, a religious revival took place in Judea. This was a significant revival during the Old Testament period. The religious reforms Josiah made in the country are described in 2 Kings 23. He reigned from BC 640 to 609 as the 16th king of Judea. King Josiah burned all the articles of Baal, Asherah, and other Gentile gods of heaven. He burned them outside Jerusalem in the valley of Kidron. He removed the horses that were dedicated to the sun and burned the chariots of the sun and threw their dust into the brook Kidron. He broke in pieces the sacred pillars of Gentile gods and cut down the wooden images. He destroyed the altar and burned the high place and the wooden images. Josiah also took away all the shrines of the high places, burned them and threw their dust into the brook Kidron. Joel 3 verse 2 is a prophecy about the last judgment. We read, "I will also gather all nations, and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there on account of my people, my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land." Biblical scholars believe that the valley of Jehoshaphat mentioned in this verse and the Kidron Valley are one and the same. But some scholars differ in this assumption. The argument that these two valleys are same developed only in 4th century AD. Scholars failed to find another valley known by the name Jehoshaphat, and they found the description fitting to Kidron Valley. So, they concluded that both these valleys are the same, and it is Kidron Valley. Jews have chosen the Kidron Valley and some part of Mount Olive as burial ground, on the belief that the Last Judgment will happen in this valley. The Orthodox Jews believe that the Messiah will appear in the Kidron Valley and there he will resurrect the dead. This place is holy for the Jews, by the presence of the sepulchre of the prophet Zechariah. But the war between Israel and Palestine has destroyed the old grandeur of the valley. Jesus often traveled through Kidron Valley, on his way to Bethany. Jesus started his royal ride to Jerusalem on a donkey from Bethphage. It was a village near Mount Olive. That means, Jesus traveled from Bethphage to Jerusalem crossing the Kidron Valley. John 18 verse 1 says that, after the high priestly prayer, Jesus and his disciples went to the Garden of Gethsemane, crossing the brook Kidron. Gethsemane Garden was in the lower part of Mount Olive, in Kidron Valley. Mount Olive is a small hill found outside of the Old Jerusalem city, on the east of Kidron Valley. Jesus prayed his last prayer in anguish, in the Garden of Gethsemane. Gethsemane might have been an olive garden. Now there are more than one small olive gardens in this place. It is believed that one of these is the garden in which Jesus prayed for the last time. During the Old Testament period, Kidron stood as a reminder of Gentile worship and rebellion towards God. It was also a constant reminder of God's punishment for apostasy. Jews used to throw away Gentile idols and all wicked things in the stream of Kidron. Thus, Kidron stood as a symbol of crime and punishment. For Christians, the significance of Kidron Valley and Mount Olive is that the Passion of Jesus Christ began on Mount Olive, which situated near the valley. There, Jesus willingly bore all our sins and its punishments. This is not incidental. In Christian salvific story, Kidron Valley is a symbol of salvation from sin.